Shalom, shalom, Mishpachah. This is Jared Yao checking in. We are out here at our favorite spot right now. We are at the beach, which is a little wild today. So, I'm having to keep a close eye on the boat. So if I have to rush off of here, in a hurry, then you guys won't be confused about what it is. I'm jumping in the ocean. So I wanted to talk about today a couple things. I just want to touch on. I haven't done this in a little while. I've been trying to come in and come out sparingly. Based on the situation right now, it's just me and my kids. So I'd have a whole lot of time to get too deep into the lives. But I wanted to just come on here and address a couple topics so that people will have an understanding of the times that we're in and the responsibility that we have in these times. Let's see, just to show you guys where we're at. We are in the favorite spot, you guys, not far away from the slave castle. And so I want to focus really quick on this right here. This is the slave castle, you guys. That is the slave castle that our ancestors were in about some 400 years ago in order to be shipped from this place in West Africa to America to start the grand experiment that became the company of the United States of America. As we know, America is a corporation. It's not really its own state. That's why it has a president. That's why it behaves in the way that it does. That's why it doesn't really have allies. It has business partners. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Y'all head back this way. Come back this way. So we started that journey, and we were the catalyst behind that journey some 400 or 500 years ago, you guys. And coming across that sea, being over here in Africa and coming across that sea, there was nothing that we could do about it, you guys. We were headed into captivity. You guys understand that Daniel was a righteous man and was sent into captivity, you guys. He was one of the righteous ones in Judah that had to suffer because of everybody else's unrighteousness and go into captivity, and then in captivity have his life threatened at many different aspects and also be praised in many different aspects. So we know that it is all according to the will of the Father. But there was nothing that he could do about that. He was going into captivity. Daniel was going into captivity, just like our fathers went into captivity from this very spot right here where I'm sitting right now. Went into captivity 400 years earlier from now, and then 200 years before that went in exile here, because we were exiled here from Europe. We lived in Europe, we lived in Spain, we lived in Portugal, we lived in Germany, we lived in France, and all of these different places. Jason! And so there was no amount of war fighting that we were going to be able to do, to be able to relieve us from this condition. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what we were looking, what we were looking for then and what we're looking for now is deliverance, not a battle. We're looking to be delivered, right? So now let's fast forward 400 years to the current day, to the modern era. And let's just describe the situation that we're in the modern era. We've gone 400 years without knowing anything about our identity. We've gone 400 years without knowing anything about our Elohim. We've 400 years without knowing anything about our history, about the way that we worship our Elohim. And now we've woken up. Do you understand what I mean? Now we have the onus in our hearts to want to regain and reconquer the things that we've lost, right? And so how do we do that with no army? How do we do that with no king? How do we do that with no nation? How do we do that from captivity? Do you see what I'm saying? The last time that we were able to do that was during the time Judah Maccabean. And Judah Maccabean was about 2,200 years ago. So we haven't had the ability to fight successfully for our freedom in over 2 millennia. And this is not by mistake. This is not, based off of us not being organized enough or trained enough or smart enough or any of those different things. It's because we have been placed into the curse. And part of the curse, if you read Leviticus chapter 26, part of that curse is that we will not have the ability to form a standing army. You see, guys, in Ezekiel 37, the dry bones coming together formed a great army. But those dry bones had been dry and had been in the state that they were in, Ezekiel said, for a long, long, long time. He's looking at them, and lo, they are very dry. And so when they start coming together and forming together to become an army, we know that this is at a point in the future, at an age in the future that is beyond that we see. This is at a time when we are just now dying in Ezekiel's time, just being sent into captivity. And he's looking at a time when the bones had been dead for a long time. So Yael, come back. So we see that we had been without an army, without a leader, without anything for a very, very long time. And so here we are waking up. Are we coming together as bones and sinews yet? Absolutely not, you guys. We are just at the very beginning, with the wind starting to blow across the bones, the spirit starting to rush across the bones, giving us what to do next, you guys. Not putting a weapon in our hands, not giving us a leader, not doing any of these things that we still need to have an army. So what do we do, and where do we go to join up in place of having an army, in place of having a king, in place of having a nation? What do? Right? We see that none of these things have been restored to us yet, that we haven't had even a consensus about who we are. Even though people are aware of who we are and have been introduced to the information, they are not in a state to where that they are capable of even some people hearing the truth. Because for some people, hearing the truth is offensive, right? They can't hear it. You can't receive it. Because for you are so far out of the ancient culture and the old path that for you that old path is offensive. That you can't even be told about the old path because you're not trying to hear it. And even people that are in the walk, same thing, not trying to follow the old path, following new doctrines, new teachings, new things that were never before seen in the history of Israel, and more infatuated with the controversy than the actual conscious ability to worship. Do you see what I'm saying? Because worship looks a certain way. We all know that worship is kindness. Worship, true worship, is the ability to not look towards yourself, to look for others. True worship is the ability to see the things coming before they get there, to be able to have the spirit of prophecy, to be able to have the spirit of meekness, to be able to use these things in order to fight your battles. Because you do have battles. And the battles that you're dealing with now will not be physical. Even though your enemy has means, physical means to hurt you with, you cannot turn around and attack them with physical means themselves. you have to use spiritual weapons. And the number one, boys, little boys, come back. And the number one spiritual weapon that you have at your disposal is text. That text will be able to slice and dice people. And people are not going to want to hear it. People are not going to want to react in the way that they should. People are going to want to fight you. Do you understand what I mean? And when you see people fighting you and your weapon is the sword, then you know you have already won. Because there's no need to fight Scripture. If you're fighting Scripture, then you're fighting against His word. And you can't do that and win. Do you understand what I'm saying? There is no way around. I'm just watching you guys. There is no way around. There is no way around His word. There is no breaking Scripture. You will not do it. You will not find your way around His Scripture. There is one way, and that way is the narrow way. And if you go around some other way to the back or try to sneak in, it won't work. It means that your religion is vanity. See, we're out here in West Africa, you guys. We're in the place where we started so many years ago. And now we have a different onus than we did back then. Now we are coming with the understanding of Messiah. Now we're coming with the understanding of our role in the world, with a true understanding of our role in the world. Not a false one, a true one. And because of that true understanding, we understand that we are not to be fighting with weapons of warfare, that we have our sword of the Spirit, our shield of faith. We have our breastplate of righteousness, our helmet of salvation. All of these are weapons. And look where the weapons will lead you to. This is the final part of your battle. Because if you're battling right now, if you're finding it hard to make it, not me. Do you understand what I'm saying? We are not at war. We are not in battle. This is the place where we have come to achieve a sense of peace, a sense of understanding, away from the chaos, away from the abnormal behavior, away from the controversy. You guys, you know, the Adventist Church talks about this great controversy that is coming on the world. And we know that, you know, the Adventists are Christians, but I like using that term controversy because that's what it is. It's a huge controversy. And the controversy, and I hope you guys can hear me, but the controversy is not necessarily with the world. Boys! Pay attention, y'all. And the controversy is not with the world. It's with the spirits that are in the world that we have controversy with. And those spirits are in people. But at the same time, while you're at war with these people, these are automatically still people who can be saved. People who have the ability to have every single bit of supernatural battle strength that you have. And so we walk a tight rope. Yael! Come back. We walk a tight rope. Stand up, boy. We walk a tight rope in this world, and the world tells us that, and see, here's the thing. The world tells us a couple different things. You know, Christianity is called Christianity, you know, as of 300 AD, right? And we call it Christianity. But after 300 AD, Christianity was named Catholicism. And so what does Catholicism mean? Catholicism means universal religion. So that means the Christianity that we know of, Catholicism that we know of, is world religion. And so when we see people saying that, okay, well, you got to forgive people and then move on about your business, and you got to let people do what it is that they want to do. You can't judge, and you can't judge unless you're willing to be judged yourself. All those things are true, but this doesn't exclude judgment. You have to make sure that you're judging righteous judgment, or else then you have people going down the wrong way. But you can't overjudge either. You can't judge outside of the realm that you have access to. So that means you have to walk that tightrope. Because if you overjudge, or if you unrighteously judge, then you lose, then you have victims. And then now you are the warrior using the sword to chop heads off. But if you don't judge harsh enough, then you become the victim. And then that sword gets turned on you. And so the rope that we walk means that we as a group of soldiers in army cannot fight with the zeal of murderer. We cannot fight with the zeal of killers, like Spartans, or like Nazis, or Pharisees. You see what I'm saying? Our understanding has to come from the understanding that we were delivered out of the world to begin with. And since we were delivered from the world, we have to go and look and see who else is out there that needs to not be caught up in the same style of things that we once were. And since we were once caught these things, we can't look to other people as being people that are not worthy of salvation, or people that are somehow just automatically cursed and doomed to die, because that is not calling that we were called into. We were called to salvation to the world, not to condemn it. Our master was called to be the salvation of the world and not to condemn it. So how in the world? Oh, I just got hit with a wave, y'all. So how in the world do we then see ourselves as now being the arbiters of justice, the arbiters of vengeance, to do battle with people in the world that were just as ignorant and just as sinful as we once were? No, these are not our friends. These are not our people that we fellowship with, but these are our future companions in salvation, if we are wise enough. Otherwise, we're just going and swinging and doing battle with a sword and chopping heads off instead of building a nation. There's a difference between war and nation building, you guys. And that's what I wanted to come out here and say, because we have too many soldiers and not enough peace. Too much battle and not enough unity. Too much people fighting, too many people fighting, and not enough people making peace, you guys. So that's why I wanted to come out here and let you guys know. The ocean is a little bit hectic. It is a little bit chaotic today. So I have to definitely make sure that my kids are not going to get swept away out here. So I'm going to let you guys go ahead and go. Shalom, shalom, mishpachah. Things should be changing. I should be coming back on here a little bit more often, since we'll have the situation changing up here. But until then, you guys, shalom, shalom.